Welcome to today's newscast. Our top story is man released from prison after serving 10 years for a crime he did not commit. Elvis Presley was declared innocent yesterday afternoon after nearly 10 years in prison for a murder he did not commit. The groundbreaking exoneration was pressed by the US-only statewide innocent panel. Mr. Presley has been in prison since his arrest in January 2, 2001, for the murder of his girlfriend, Britney Spears. The alleged murder took place on New Year's Eve 2000. Mr. Presley had been drinking violently, and guests at the party had seen Mr. Presley fighting with his girlfriend just a few hours before she was found dead. She was found dead, lying on the bathroom floor by her best friend Paris Hilton, who was also the key witness in the trial against Elvis Presley. Paris Hilton was aware that Mr. Presley had a problem with his temper. He could easily have killed her best friend in rage, she reasoned. Since she had seen them fighting just a few hours before, he must have killed her, right? Mr. Presley was convicted solely on witness testimony. There was no forensic evidence linking him to the death of Britney Spears, and the witness testimonies were not consistent throughout the hearings, something that was detected by the statewide innocent panel, who pressed the matter to the state judge. It took them nearly 2 years to pursue the judge to grant an autopsy of Miss Spears' body. The autopsy revealed that Britney Spears had died of natural causes. Her death was caused by a brain aneurysm and not by Mr. Presley. After the news reached the witnesses against Mr. Presley, they all backed down on their word. All 4 witnesses said that they had been mistaken, that they had in fact never seen Mr. Presley leave the party in a hurry and looking downright remorseful, which they claimed during the trial. And that was probably what convinced the jury, Mr. Presley was guilty. Here with us today in the studio, we have the world-famous psychiatrist, Dr. Jellybean. Here with us today in the studio, we have the world-famous psychiatrist, Dr. Jellybean from Harvard University. Hello and welcome to you, Dr. Jellybean.
Hello, and thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here.
How could something like this happen? Did they just lie because they wanted Mr. Presley to go to jail?
Well, I don't think they lied deliberately. See, our memory is not like a tape recorder, but more like a sketch of our experiences. And our mind gradually fills the blanks with information we receive from the world around us and what we ourselves find to be true. So, the sketch over time becomes a beautiful colored picture created by our minds. Memory is therefore open to distortions, you see. Well, let's say 2 people are in a car accident. I can guarantee you that even though they experience the same event, their memories will be different from each other, even though they both share this same draft to the picture or memory, but as they create the memory, they will fill in the blanks with what they personally believe to be true. And this will be influenced by past experience and what information they receive from others, you see, and how they interpret this information. Most likely, their memories will be different in 5 years from now.
So what you're saying is that memory is a highly individual interpretation of what we think happened.
Exactly, my dear. You see, memories are not facts, but creations of our mind. That is why people can have recollections of events that never taken place. They then suffer from false memory distortions. People who suffer from false memory distortions often believe strongly in the false memory and avoid confrontation, since their life is often defined by the memory. With this I mean that everything in their life is situated around the memory. Take the key witness in Mr. Presley's case, Miss Hilton. She created a false memory around the circumstances of her friend's death. She knew that they had been fighting and that Mr. Presley had a history of violent outbursts, and it made sense that he killed Mr. Spears. So she knew that they had been fighting and that Mr. Presley had a history of violent outbursts, and it made sense that he killed Miss Spears. So her memory came up with an explanation to her sudden death.
But how come all four of the witnesses claim the same thing? That Mr. Presley left the party in a hurry, looking remorseful. Did they all create the same false memory?
Well, yeah, that could be explained. The memory's extraordinary ability to manipulate the events in our brain. A study was conducted by Bartlett that clearly demonstrates the brain ability to change and invent new memories. You see, he asked the subjects to read through a story twice. After 15 minutes had passed, he asked the individuals taking part of the study to tell the story in detail as they remembered it. Well, he asked them to do this a few times, and what he noticed was that every time someone tried to tell the story again from memory, it changed. The story was never told the same way twice. According to Bartlett, this could be explained by the way people tried to make sense of their experiences. We forgot, distort, and invent things to find a familiar pattern of our experiences. That is probably why the witnesses in this case all reported similar things, because after somebody murdered their partner, that person is likely to flee from the scene and look upset. That is all those damn TV shows made sure of.
Okay, that's a real eye-opener. Do you think this happens a lot? I mean, do you think there are a lot of innocent men and women in our prisons because of false witness testimony?
It is my belief that there should always be forensic evidence backing up witness testimonies to avoid an innocent person being wrongly convicted. But if there are many innocent men and women wasting away in cells, I have no idea. But I'll tell you, according to Loftus, who is an expert on witness testimonies, small things like words could have a different effect on people. She and a colleague of mine named Palmer, a great lad as he is, they conducted an experiment in 1974 called Loftus and Palmer. They wanted to find out what would happen if they changed one word in a question and if that would influence how people recalled things. They made their participants watch films of traffic accidents, and then afterwards they asked the same question but with some modifications. One group got a question with the word bumped. Other group got a word with the word hit, and some with the word smashed. The idea here is that the different words are interpreted different by the brain and will affect the recall of the event. If I say bumped, you probably think of a minor car accident, but if I instead say smashed, you probably imagine a full-blown collide. Minor things like this can influence our recall of an event, which it probably did with Mr. Presley's trial. This murder was a media spectacle, and the tabloids milked that cow all they could. The witnesses were most likely influenced by the way media depicts Mr. Presley and the murder.
Thank you, Dr. Jellybean, for coming today. This has certainly been an interesting morning.
Well, thank you. It was a real pleasure being here.
If you are as moved as we are by Mr. Presley's story, please visit the website www.innocentproject.com. There are sadly many more people in prison who should not be there. This was Sunny Summers for BBC News.